So, you've been scrolling through endless speaker reviews and you're wondering, who actually benefits from the Klipsch RF73 floor-standing pair, who should walk away, and does the price make sense for a regular home theater setup? If you're on the fence about whether a massive horn-loaded speaker fits into your living room plan, that hesitation is totally normal, especially when the price tag nudges you into premium territory. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, these aren't the kind of speakers you can slip onto a cramped bookshelf and expect them to blend into a tiny apartment. The RF73 stands about 6 feet tall, weighs a hefty 70 pounds each, and needs a solid floor or a sturdy pedestal to stay upright without wobbling. In a real-world living room, you'll usually place them a couple of feet away from the side walls, angled slightly toward the listening position, and leave a little breathing room behind the cabinets. Because they're built around a 9,090mm tracked Rix horn, the highs project forward with a surprising amount of detail, but that also means the sound can feel a bit aggressive if the room is too tight. I've seen owners in mid-size rooms get a lush, theater-like experience, while the same speakers in a 200-square-foot studio start to dominate the space, making dialogue sound like it's being shouted. Now, who should actually consider buying these? If you have a dedicated home theater room or a spacious living area where you enjoy watching movies with friends, the RF73's copper-based cerametallic woofers can deliver deep, controlled bass that often eliminates the need for a separate subwoofer. The Spun copper diaphragm handles low frequencies with a tightness you rarely get from conventional paper cones, so you'll feel that rumble in action scenes without the boomy overflow that can muddy a small room. Audiophiles who appreciate a horn-loaded design for its efficiency will love how little power they need to drive these speakers to a respectable volume, meaning a decent AVR or a modestly powered amp can still make them sound impressive. On the flip side, if you're a budget-conscious buyer or you're looking for a plug-and-play solution that fits into a modest space, you might want to skip these. The sheer size means you'll need a substantial piece of furniture or a floor stand that can handle the weight, and the aesthetic of the black ash veneer isn't everyone's taste. Some users end up painting or covering them to match core. Because the horns are so forward-facing, you'll also need to invest time in toe-in or toe-out adjustments, and that process can be frustrating if you're not comfortable with a bit of trial and error. Plus, the price point puts them in the same bracket as many high-end two-way floor standers that come with built-in crossover networks tuned for a broader sweet spot, so the value proposition hinges on whether you specifically want that horn-driven clarity. What about the everyday practical side? Wiring isn't a mystery. The speakers use standard binding post terminals, so you can run speaker wire from any decent AVR or power amp without needing special adapters. Because they're part of a bundle that includes both left and right units, you're guaranteed a matched pair, no worrying about tonal discrepancies. In terms of durability, the cast frame woofer design helps keep the cone stable under high excursion, which translates to less distortion during movie explosions or bass-heavy music. However, the speakers do have a noticeable warm-up period for the ceramic material. Some owners report that after a few minutes of playback, the bass tightens up, so you might want to give them a short playthrough before settling in for a marathon. Summing it up, the Klipsch RF73 pair shines when you have the space, the right amplification, and a desire for that signature horn-driven high-frequency punch combined with deep, articulate bass. If your living room is spacious enough to let those 6-foot giants breathe, and you're comfortable fine-tuning placement, you'll likely feel the price justified by the immersive experience. If you're dealing with limited square footage, a tight budget, or you'd rather avoid the setup gymnastics, there are more compact, less demanding options that will give you good sound without the drama. Either way, do your homework, measure your room, and think about the rest of your system before you click. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon.